President Biden is expected to gather G7 leaders today, and Israel's war cabinet is meeting as well, as all eyes turn to how they'll respond to Iran's attack. For more on that, Israel's ambassador to Canada, Iddo Moed, is here now. Hi, Ambassador. Thank you very much for making the time for this. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
From what I've read, and I'm wondering if you can corroborate this, the majority, 99% of the missiles and drones were intercepted. Is that accurate?
That's correct. Israel was subjected to this unprecedented attack of aerial munitions, missiles, UAVs, whatever the Iranians were using. Hundreds of them, 99% were intercepted by Israeli different layers of air defense, and also with support of our allies around us from the international community. It's very meaningful because this barrage of missiles that were shot at Israel were supposed to inflict severe damage to any country in the world. And unfortunately for us, we were able to mitigate that attack, but this does signify a new reality in the Middle East, when Iran, this enormous force that tries to destabilize the Middle East, is using its might, its power, against a democratic country, which they've called out that they want to eliminate, and they're not only saying it, they're showing it, and that's a very dangerous development.
And the delineation is really this time, and I'm wondering how significant you view it, that it's a direct attack. I mean, they have been conducting essentially wars by proxy for a very long time, but this is unprecedented in the direct nature of it, is it not?
So Iran has this broad scheme of developing their proxies and a sort of a ring around Israel, again, with the aim of destroying the state of Israel and actually changing the whole Middle East. And in that sense, it's extremely dangerous what they've done now, because now that they've directly attacked Israel from Iranian territory and attacked the sovereignty of a democratic state that is defending itself against this evil, against terrorism, they've shown the world what kind of a dangerous force they are. And this is why the international community also comes together to defend against it. It's not just in defense of Israel, it's in defense of the Western world.
And in that vein, I think it's fair to say that everyone now is watching to see how Israel retaliates. I know the war cabinet is meeting basically as we speak. What is under consideration? Because there are reports that, for example, President Biden has called Prime Minister Netanyahu to say, you know, don't escalate this. Essentially, we're on your side and we stand with you, but escalation is not preferable. What is your view on that?
So we've said very clearly from the outset, whoever attacks us, we will hit back, and we will hit back to make sure that that doesn't happen again. We are not tolerating such attacks, and Israel will not tolerate it. Our defense, our national defense is in our own hands, and we will decide how to retaliate. We are working together with our allies to make sure that they also understand where we stand and why we do what we do. But Israel needs to decide for itself how to proceed, because Israel was under attack last night, under this horrific terrorist attack by a state, and we will have to make sure that that doesn't happen again, and that deterrence is put together again.
May I ask more specifically, I guess, what that means, how far you're prepared to go, and how much the sort of new reality of tensions in the Middle East and the possibility of escalation weighs on that decision in your considerations?
In our eyes, the reality is not very new. It's just that we see that Iran is using its war machine against Israel in the most harmful way. We've warned against that. We've shown the world what Iran is doing. Iran has been developing those proxies around it, and it's extremely dangerous. So we know that we have to act forcefully against such a horrible war machine to make sure that it doesn't inflict more damage on us. And I think that the international community also understands and supports that. So whatever decision will be made, they will be known when they are made. But we are going to make sure that this doesn't happen. I mean, we are at a state of war right now. We are fighting against Hamas in the south. We have a proxy of Iran in the north, Hezbollah, holding hundreds of thousands of precision-guided missiles against Israeli population. And so the situation is very, very volatile. And we are not in a situation where we would like to use diplomacy, and we are trying to use diplomacy, especially in the north, to avoid any further escalation, because the situation is extremely dangerous, as I said. And so at the other end of it, we also want to make sure that those who hit us know that they cannot do it without any reaction from Israel, and that reaction will be forceful.
Is it fair for me to interpret that as there will be retaliation? It's the scale and the scope of the retaliation that's under discussion right now.
Everything is in the discussion right now.
And as far as have you had any conversations with any ministers here in Canada about what's evolving right now, or the situation, or the Prime Minister to that effect?
I know that the Prime Minister is following the situation very closely. We are also in contact with government about that, and that's extremely important. It's also the time to express our gratitude to Prime Minister Trudeau's strong reaction, as well as Foreign Minister Joly, also the head of the opposition, Pierre Poilievre. Their unequivocal support and recognition of Israel's right to defend itself at this time is extremely important at this time.
I just have about 30 seconds, Ambassador. The retaliation that we were discussing, do you anticipate the world will see what that will be sooner rather than later?
I assume so. And I will also think that at this point in time, it is important also for countries like Canada to evaluate what it means when they are standing next to Israel at this point in time, because that is extremely important. Iran needs to see a strong global reaction against this aggression.
Ambassador, I'll leave it at that note. Thank you very much for coming in today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.